If you're anything like me, you may have sat around and wondered how certain things came to be named what they are. Today, we are going to look at a brief history of the early days of Collinsville, Virginia, and how the area known as Collinsville came to be. The story of Collinsville dates back to the early 1930s. The land that was once held by the Harston and Waller families had been broken up into smaller pieces and sold. The area known as Collinsville came to be owned by several people: J. Frank Wilson, the Ford brothers, and John Red Smith. Heck Ford, a major figure in early 20th century business in the area, was looking to bring a new industry into Henry County that was not textile or furniture based. He crossed paths with inventor and businessman Levi Bertrand Collins, also known as Cap, and invited him to Southern Virginia in hopes to sell the area to Cap Collins. Collins was fairly well known at the time for having invented the no battery flashlight, which was a great innovation for the day. He owned and operated Collins No Battery Flashlight Company in New Jersey. It is said that Admiral Richard Byrd used Collins' flashlights on his Antarctic expeditions due to batteries not being able to perform well in extreme conditions. Heck Ford took Collins to some land west of Martinsville and promised him 25 acres, which was later matched by Ford's brothers and Wilson to make 75 acres, to open up his factory here. Collins agreed to the offer and moved his family to Henry County. Collins immediately began laying out streets and starting construction on his home and his new factory. He then divided and sold the other lots he was given in order to finance his new business. The first street in this new area was Wheeler Avenue, and on Wheeler was where Collins constructed his home and factory, of which the home is the only thing left standing today. Collins partnered with Lester Lumber Company to build a 200-foot by 50-foot factory. Lester was an ardent supporter of Collins and wanted to see his business and the area thrive. Just a few hundred yards away from Collins, John Red Smith owned several hundred acres of land. Recognizing Collins' new factory as a means to grow the area, Smith also started laying out streets and dividing the acreage into lots. Smith even named some of the streets after his children, which is where the street names like John Red Smith Boulevard, Eliza Ramey Avenue, James Street, Susan Drive, and Patsy Avenue come from. The first house to be built on Smith's lots was built by the Morris family, who owned Morris Union 76 Oil. The house stood where the KFC currently is in Collinsville. The Great Depression hit many industries hard, and Collins' no battery flashlight was no exception. Cap Collins' business went belly up not too long after the factory building was completed. No flashlights were ever made in Collinsville, and no equipment was ever even brought into the factory. Cap Collins moved out of the area and passed away in Iowa some years later. Before the post office was built in the 1940s, the name of this area was Midway because it was in the middle between Martinsville and Bassett. What truly put Collinsville on the map and gave it an identity of its own was a decision made by the state in 1938. The old road that led from Roanoke to Martinsville would flood yearly and was washed out because of its proximity to the Smith River. In 1938, the state decided to put in a new road that connected Martinsville at the Fayette and Church Street intersection to the current-day Bassett Forks area. This 2-lane road then expanded to 3 lanes, then 4, and now it is 5 lanes, and we call it today Virginia Avenue. The road actually cut through the garden of John Red Smith's estate, known as Barber Place. With this new road coming in, the newly branded Collinsville began a season of growth that didn't slow down for several decades. Population boomed from near zero in 1930 to 2,000 people by 1949. In 1960, Collinsville had grown to 3,600 residents and surpassed Bassett to become the second largest unincorporated town in the state. The cost of lots in Collinsville went from $100 in 1933 to $800 by 1946, and eventually rose to $30,000 in the 1970s. There is so much more to tell you about this fascinating area, but if you want to know more about it, I encourage you to visit the Bassett Historical Center if you're able, or drop your questions in the comments below and we'll try to get them answered. As always, we encourage you to click the like and subscribe buttons, and we thank you for watching.